What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday evening. I'm feeling particularly positive today, and I'll tell you why that is straight away. Rasmus Hojlund is at Carrington and he is doing his medical. We can confirm, we've seen the pictures ourselves. Rasmus Hojlund arrived in Manchester earlier on today. He is at Carrington and he is doing his medical right now. Very, very excited about that. But as always, we do have a massive show for you guys this evening. We've got loads and loads to get into. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. And let's jump straight on into it. Well, I guess whilst we're here, let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund really quickly. So it's been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, BBC, all of the rest of them, all of the main journalists in the UK saying that Rasmus Hojlund has officially arrived in Manchester, and there's pictures of him in a nice Mercedes van, minibus, whatever you want to call it, pulling into Carrington. And Fabrizio has said that Rasmus Hojlund has started his Manchester United medical. So he's in Carrington right now. He is doing his medical. I reckon we'll probably get the official announcement of him wearing the shirts and all the rest of it probably tomorrow. I doubt we'll get that tonight, but you never know, do you? Maybe they'll be able to do it really quickly, and maybe tonight we'll see him in the Manchester United shirt. But the key bit of information here is he's arrived in Manchester, he's at Carrington, and he is doing his medical right now. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've been watching videos all day today of like his goals and how he plays and stuff. And honestly, I think he's going to be a really good player for us. I know you can't just take it from clips that you see on YouTube, but I've watched so many clips today of his goals. He scored a hat-trick for Denmark a couple of weeks ago. He scored a couple of goals for Denmark in another game a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, he looks like a quality player. And I'm so excited to see him in a Manchester United shirt. But yeah, as I said, he is at Carrington. I'm not sure how long a medical takes. That is a really good question somebody's asking in the chat. How long does... I assume it takes a couple of hours, but don't quote me on that. I guess it all completely depends, doesn't it, on the extent of like the player. I mean, it says on the internet, yeah, it says usually about a couple of hours, 3 to 4 hours for a medical. I think he arrived at Carrington about 3 or 4 o'clock today. So you never know. He's probably still doing his medical right now. As I said, I think it's unlikely that he'll get announced as a Manchester United player this evening, but I do expect it will be tomorrow. And then he'll probably be in training with the rest of the team on Thursday ahead of our next pre-season match, which is on Saturday. I believe it is against Lens on Saturday. Let me just double check that one for you. I am going to do a watch along for both of these pre-season matches, actually. So we've got a pre-season match on Saturday against Lens at 12:45 at Old Trafford. And then we've got one against Atletico Bilbao the next day on Sunday at 4 o'clock. So we will be doing a watch along for both of those games on the channel. I cannot wait to see Rasmus Hojlund in a Manchester United shirt. And from what we're hearing, he will feature in those games in some capacity. Obviously, he'll be training with the squad from Thursday onwards, we're hearing. So he'll train Thursday, Friday, and then hopefully he'll get his debut on Saturday against Lens, which I'm really excited about. I'm not going to lie, I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, maybe I should go to that game on Saturday, but yeah, I don't think I will. I think it's too short notice, but I just got a bit excited earlier. I was like, oh, I really want to see Rasmus in his first game. But yeah, I think I probably will just watch it at home for this one. But yeah, if anybody in the chat's going, let me know. Yeah, it does look like we will get the official announcement tomorrow. Obviously, I assume there's a very slim chance that his medical will go wrong. So yeah, he will become a Manchester United player. Right, so we've got so much to get into other than Rasmus Hojlund on today's show. We've got news on 6 outgoings, which I think you guys are really going to like. So we're going to be talking about 6 players who look set to leave the club. And then we're also going to be talking about 3 players that might be joining the club. So there's loads and loads to get into on the show tonight. Lots and lots of activity happening around Manchester United at the moment. So let's jump straight on into it. Let's talk about the outgoings first. Let's talk about Brandon Williams, who for me is somebody who definitely isn't part of the Manchester United project anymore. I don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. I wish him all the best. I hope he goes and has a good career. So the story's coming out from Miguel Delaney, and he is reporting that apparently Leeds United are considering making a bid for Manchester United's Brandon Williams on a permanent transfer. So apparently Leeds United are knocking on the door and they want to bring Brandon Williams to Leeds United. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that would be an amazing transfer for him. I really do. If he goes and joins Leeds, I think that would be a quality signing for Leeds and a good move for Brandon Williams. Obviously, Dan James went to Leeds, didn't he? I think that was a good signing for them. So yeah, hopefully this one happens. We haven't heard anything on what the fee would be at this stage, but I assume it would probably be around 5 million, to be completely honest with you. Probably not much more than that. And to be very clear, this will be a permanent transfer. It isn't a loan. Leeds United want to sign Brandon Williams on a permanent transfer. So right, let's keep rattling through the outgoings. As I said, there's 6 players who look set to leave the club. The next one is Fred. There's a story coming in from a Turkish journalist this afternoon saying that talks are progressing positively with Manchester United and Galatasaray for the sale of Fred. And then it goes on to say that Fred has apparently said yes to Galatasaray. Manchester United are now waiting for an offer from the Turkish club. Fred has also received offers from Fulham and Saudi Arabian clubs. So as it stands, guys, Galatasaray are really pushing for the signing of Fred. He reportedly has said, yes, I want to join. I'm happy to join Galatasaray. Obviously, they're in the Champions League, aren't they? They've just signed Wilfried Zaha. Galatasaray are a massive club in Turkey. So yeah, I think that'd be a really good move for Fred. As I said, he's already said yes to them. We just have to agree a fee. Galatasaray have made 3 bids so far for Fred. They offered €5 million, €7 million, and €10 million. All 3 of those bids were rejected. Manchester United are believed to want around £20 million. So there's still a bit of a way off in valuation, but hopefully Fred gets his move. At the moment, he is at Carrington. He is training away from the squad. Obviously, he didn't go on the pre-season tour. Yeah, he is training at Carrington, but it does look like he will be leaving the club. Fabrizio's come out in the last 48 hours saying that he's 90% sure Fred will leave the club this summer. So he's the second player that looks set to leave. So far, we've had Brandon Williams to Leeds, and we've had Fred to either Galatasaray or Fulham. We've got 500 of you in the chat already, guys. Please do go and smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're about 7 subscribers away from 7,800, so let's see if we can hit that by the end of the video. Everyone go and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's crack on with the rest of the show. So the third outgoing that we want to highlight on this evening's show is Matej Kovar. Now, there's a story coming out this afternoon that apparently there are 2 clubs who are reportedly interested in signing Matej Kovar. One of them is Aston Villa, and the other one is Cadiz. And the story goes, as it stands, a championship loan seems more likely for Matej Kovar. So apparently Manchester United aren't that keen on selling him. And if they do want to sell him, they want to get a good fee for him. Obviously, he was on loan last season in the Czech Republic League. He won the league with Spartak Prague, I believe it was. He had a really good season in the Czech Republic League. There was talk of him potentially going back to Sparta Prague, but apparently the fee that Manchester United were asking for was way more than what Sparta Prague were willing to pay. Reportedly, they wanted around 10 to 15 million pounds for him, which sounds like a lot of money, but at the end of the day, he is very young. He is a goalkeeper who, in my opinion, could go on to be a decent goalkeeper. I really do believe that. But let me know in the comment section, would you like to see Matej Kovar stay at Manchester United, or would you sell him? Me personally, I think if we could get a good fee for him, I would sell him. But I would also be happy if he stayed as a backup goalkeeper, because at the end of the day, at the moment, all we have is Tom Heaton and Onana, and I would be more than happy with keeping Matej Kovar. He's still very young. Obviously, like I said, he just went and won the league in the Czech Republic League. He had a really good season for Sparta Prague. He's looked good in pre-season. I would personally keep him if that is an option. But let me know what you think about that one in the comment section. So far, just to round up, we've had Fred, who looks like he's going to go to either Galatasaray, Fulham, or a club in Saudi. Brandon Williams is attracting interest from Leeds United, and the third one is Matej Kovar, who looks set to either be sold permanently or to go out on loan. The fourth one is none other than everybody's favourite, Mr. Harry Maguire. Now, Mr. Harry Maguire is attracting interest today from Everton. The story goes as follows. Everton are interested in Manchester United defender Harry Maguire. Everton are prepared to sell Michael Keane and Mason Holgate to raise the funds to sign Harry Maguire. I'm just going to say this now. Harry Maguire to Everton, that would be an absolutely quality move for Everton. Honestly, Harry Maguire seems like an Everton-style player. He really does. Imagine Harry Maguire playing for Sean Dyche. Honestly, that would be incredible. It really would. I think they'd become best friends. I do. I think they'd be a match made in heaven. Harry Maguire and Sean Dyche. It's exactly what the kind of football that Everton and Sean Dyche want to play, isn't it? So let's see what happens with that one. Obviously, West Ham are reportedly going to put in a second bid for Harry Maguire. We're not sure exactly what the fee will be for this, but there was a story coming up this morning saying that West Ham are now exploring the option of putting in a second bid for Harry Maguire. Obviously, their first bid of £20 million was rejected last week. Manchester United are reportedly after at least 30, if not £40 million for Harry Maguire's signature, which sounds like a hell of a lot of money for me, to be completely honest with you. I know I was getting a lot of stick from people in the chat because I said I would have taken the 20. I really would. And some people in the chat were giving me absolute stick for it. But that's fine. You're allowed to give your opinion as long as it's done in a respectful way and you're not abusive. I have absolutely no issue with you sharing your opinions with me. But yeah, at the moment, it does look like Maguire is attracting interest, but at the end of the day, it is from clubs like Everton. Obviously, West Ham's a bit more respectable. They're obviously in Europe. I can't see Harry Maguire moving to Everton, to be completely honest with you. I think he would work well there. I think it would be a good move for him and for Everton, but I just can't see him doing it. He's got too much of an ego, hasn't he? He thinks he doesn't need to prove himself. He's just been the captain of the biggest club in the world. He's been playing, European football. Why would he move to a relegation battling Everton? Like, he's just not going to do that. So hopefully West Ham become a bit more serious and put in this second bid. And hopefully he, sees the light and thinks, if I stay at Manchester United, I'm not going to be in the Euros next year. Gareth Southgate will remove me from the England squad. Either I leave now, I get game time, and I kind of cement myself in that England squad, or I stay, and ultimately he's just going to rot on the bench. Let's be completely honest with you. He's not going to get in the team above Lindelof, Martinez, or Varane, in my opinion. And there is more news on the centre-back situation as well, which is one of the incomings that we wanted to talk about. But yeah, in relation to that one, I would say it would be very, very unlikely for Harry Maguire to want to move to Everton. I'm sure there is an interest in him because I honestly think Everton and Maguire would be a match made in heaven. But yeah, I just can't see Harry Maguire agreeing to that move. I think the West Ham one is maybe a bit more believable, but still might be a bit of a push. He has this ego, but at the end of the day, West Ham will be in the Europa League next season. That is still respectable. Manchester United were in the Europa League last season, So it's not really a level down if you actually think about it. He's going to go from being sat on the bench and not playing to being starting every single game and still playing European football. So hopefully West Ham do come back in with this second bid. That is what's being reported. They're currently, putting together this second bid, but it hasn't gone in yet. The first bid was obviously rejected for 20 million. Harry Maguire is the fourth person who looks, on the leaving list. Now, the fifth one is one that's going to probably cause a bit of debate in the fan base, which is obviously what we're here to do on this channel. So it looks like Pellistri will be leaving the club this summer. This is coming out from ESPN. They're saying that apparently Erik ten Hag has advised Pellistri to join FC Twente on loan this summer. Obviously in the Eredivisie. The other club who are seriously pushing for Pellistri's loan signature is Boca Juniors. I'm not going to lie to you guys, neither of those transfers really excite me. I honestly don't think that him going to FC Twente in Eredivisie or going to Boca Juniors is a very good move for his career, to be completely honest with you. I just think that he deserves better. I honestly think that Pellistri is a quality player. I think he could go on to be a starting player for Manchester United. I don't mean this season. I probably don't mean next season, but within the next 5 years, I honestly think that Pellistri has all of the kind of immediate attributes to go on and be a starting player for Manchester United. He looks really, really good on the ball. Whenever he comes onto the game, he does excite me. And he looks very, very developed for his age. He's only 21, but some of the skills that he does and some of the things he does in games, he looks well ahead of his year. So for me, I think he needs to go to loan on a Premier League club. I would want to see him at somewhere like Luton, maybe somewhere like West Ham, maybe somewhere like Everton. I think that would be a really, really good move for him. I'm not particularly sure about moving to the Eredivisie. I'm not really too sure about that. And I think some in the fan base would even argue that maybe Pellistri should actually get some game time. I really, really do think that he should get some game time. I do. I would love to see Pellistri get a chance next season, but I do appreciate that we've got 6 or 7 people all in those same wing positions who ultimately aren't going to get any game time, We've got Ahmad, Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford. Like, we have so many wingers. We have 6 or 7 wingers fighting for 2 positions. So I understand why a loan move looks likely. I really, really do. But for me, unless the loan move's the right one, I would just keep him. I don't see the point in sending him to the Eredivisie because the Eredivisie is nothing like the Premier League. It isn't, He's been on loan to La Liga and I think he did okay. He's come back to the Premier League and he looks good. He looks good in the games he's featured in, but I think the next move he does needs to be a Premier League club or a Championship club. But let me know in the comment section, what would you guys do with Pellistri? Me personally, I would rather keep him than loan him out to Eredivisie. I don't see the point in loaning him to the Eredivisie. I really, really don't. I think it's pointless. But ultimately, our manager knows best, and apparently Erik ten Hag has advised Pellistri to join FC Twente on loan this summer. Let me know what you think about that one. We will keep rattling through all of the news. We've got over 650 of you in the chat now, which is absolutely amazing. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already, everybody, and please do subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link in the chat to do that. We're 7 subscribers away from 7,800, so let's hit that early on in the video. Right, So far on our outgoings list for today's video, guys, we've got Fred, Brandon Williams, Harry Maguire, Pellistri, Kovar, and then the 6th one is Eric Bailly. Now, Eric Bailly's kind of been forgotten about. I assume a load of you in the chat probably thought that Eric Bailly had already gone, right? But Eric Bailly is still a Manchester United player. He's still training at Carrington. Apparently he's training with Fred at the moment. So Fred and Eric Bailly are the ones who've been left at Carrington training together. In relation to where Fred's going to end up, it looks like he will go to Saudi Arabia. Apparently, Cristiano Ronaldo has contacted him directly, trying to convince him to come to Al Nassr in Saudi. We don't know at this stage how much money he'll reportedly get or what his kind of fee would be. I can't imagine it being a hell of a lot of money. I would say probably around £5 million would be a fair price for Eric Bailly. Apparently, they've offered him £20 million in wages to go and join Al Nassr. That's what's being reported today, that Al Nassr have made a bid of £20 million for Eric Bailly. But just to be very, very clear, that £20 million is not going to go to Manchester United. It is ultimately for Eric Bailly's wages. So I assume it will be like a £20 million total contract, maybe over a 2-year deal or something like that. But for me, Eric Bailly he's gone. Like, he definitely is gone. You know, there's no way on earth that he should be here next season. The fact that he didn't even go on the preseason tour, the fact that Erik ten Hag clearly doesn't like him, maybe not like him, that's a bit harsh, but he doesn't see him in his plans. You know, he definitely will be gone, and he is the 6th player that will be leaving the club. That's gonna clear up a lot of space as well. You've got to remember, guys, we haven't even touched on people like Donny van der Beek, Scott McTominay. There are 2 or 3 other players on the list. Dean Henderson. So when it says 6 in the video title, I think that's actually maybe being a little bit. What's the word? I can't think of the word, but being a little bit safe. We're playing it on the safe side. That's 6 players who look set to leave the club. But then we also have another 3 that we wanted to talk about. So Dean Henderson. Manchester United are still in talks with Nottingham Forest over the sale of Dean Henderson. The only issue we have here, the only red herring in this deal is Nottingham Forest are also talking to Arsenal about signing Matt Turner, the backup goalkeeper. Obviously, Arsenal have just put in a bid for David Raya, haven't they, from Brentford? So there is a bit of an issue here. There is, because if they go for David Raya and then Matt Turner, the backup goalkeeper, leaves, I don't know what that then means for Dean Henderson. I really, really don't. And I said this on the stream yesterday, and quite a few of you disagreed, which was obviously completely fine. But if Nottingham Forest want Dean Henderson on loan, I would just say no. I would rather keep Dean Henderson as the backup goalkeeper than send him out on loan. I really, really would. I see absolutely no reason to loan out people for nothing. It makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Would you loan out Dean Henderson to Nottingham Forest, or would you just keep him as the backup? At the moment, the only offer that's coming in for Dean Henderson is a loan offer from Nottingham Forest. It's a loan with an obligation to buy, but apparently the terms around the obligation to buy are really, really bad. Apparently it's that he has to play 30 matches for Nottingham Forest next season, which, if you think about it, there's 38 games in the Premier League. He has to pretty much play every single Premier League game. What happens if he gets injured? What happens if he, goes for a bad patch of form and the manager doesn't pick him anymore? I really don't think that's a good deal. So for me personally, unless we can actually get a proper fee for him, I would just keep him for one more season. I know he doesn't have a future at the club, but yeah, it makes absolutely no sense for me personally to be loaning out 26-year-old goalkeepers who've played for England, have played for Manchester United. I see absolutely no reason to do that whatsoever. Now moving over to Donny van der Beek. This is somebody, again, who I think is a good player. And to be completely honest with you, I said this on the stream this morning, I would much rather get rid of Scott McTominay and Fred and keep Donny van der Beek, because at the moment, Donny van der Beek is worth, what, 5 to 10 million? Let's be completely honest. His stock price is at rock bottom. Literally at rock bottom. I know he's had a good preseason. I know he got a couple of assists in the game the other day. But for me, I would much rather keep Donny van der Beek for a couple more, well, for maybe 1 year. Hopefully Erik ten Hag can find his form again. Get rid of Scott McTominay and get rid of Fred. That would make way more sense, because at the end of the day, Fred, you'll get 15 to 20 million for. McTominay, you'd get 30 to 40 million for. Whereas Donny van der Beek, I honestly think you'd be lucky to get 15 million for. I honestly do. And I think he's worth more than that. I think if we keep him for 1 more year, he finds his form, and then we can kind of, jump back into that. Yeah, but let me know what you think about that one. Would you like to see Donny van der Beek stay at the club next season, or would you like him to be sold or loan out? At the moment, the only offer that was on the table was from Real Sociedad for a loan move, but Fabrizio Romano is reporting that apparently Real Sociedad are no longer interested in loaning Donny van der Beek. So at the moment, there isn't really anybody who's actually trying to go for him. There was talks that apparently Ajax were going to come back in for him, and that Ajax were going to supposedly bring him back to the Netherlands, but at the moment that's gone very, very quiet. So I don't know. We'll obviously keep you updated on this one at the moment, but from my perspective, from what we've been hearing today, it looks like Brandon Williams will leave. It looks like Fred will leave. Eric Bailly will leave. Palestri will go out on loan. Matic Kovar looks set to go out on loan. That's 5 players. And then who was the other one? There was one more. Harry Maguire is another one who, of course, is attracting a lot of interest. And I honestly, I know people are going to say, this is just my opinion, but I honestly do think that between now and the end of the transfer window, Harry Maguire will get his move. I really do believe that. I just think it's going to be one of those ones that drags on and on and on and on. And as we said earlier on, it looks like West Ham will come back in with a second bid. And to be completely honest with you, Manchester United have to accept this second bid. If it's 20 million plus add-ons, they just need to take it. They really, really do. I know it's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's not probably even up to Erik ten Hag, really. It's probably up to the Glazers to sign off on this, to sign off on whether they're willing to take a loss on him. But at the end of the day, Harry Maguire's only got 2 years left on his contract. If we don't sell him now and we keep him for 1 more year and he sits on the bench, we're not only going to be paying him 240 grand a year for this year, but this time next season, he'll have 1 year left on his deal. How much is he going to be worth then? This is our last opportunity to actually cash in and get some respectable amount of money for Harry Maguire, because in my opinion, next season with 1 year left on his deal, unless he does incredible at the Euros, which he might not even feature in if he's not playing for Manchester United, his stock price this time next year is going to be even less than what it is now. So if we can get 20 to 30 million for Harry Maguire at this point, I would 100% take it without even blinking. But I do understand people in the chat will say, oh, he's worth 40 million, he plays for England and all the rest of it. I get that. I do get that. But the issue is his wages. He's on £240,000 per week. West Ham's highest earning player is £150,000 a week, right? Just think about that for a second. If he goes to West Ham, they're either going to have to give him a massive signing on bonus and say, Harry, here's 10 million signing on bonus, but your wages are going to be 150, or they completely mess up their wage bill. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that for Harry Maguire. It's not like they're signing Kylian Mbappe, and they say, well, Kylian Mbappe deserves to earn double what everyone else at the club's on. Harry Maguire doesn't deserve to be on 240 grand a week. I know that's not his fault. He didn't decide. That was the club's decision to give it. But you cannot expect people like West Ham to be offering Harry Maguire 240 grand a week. It's never going to happen. So when these fees are getting floated around 20 to 30 million for him, and there's people saying that's too low, he should be worth 40, he should be worth 50. If he was on 50 grand a week, yeah, you could get 40 million for him. I'm sure of it, even at the moment when he's out of form. But the fact he's on such high wages, you have to factor that in, because any club is going to have to make sure that he's well compensated. So yeah, that's my take on it. As I just said, the fact that, West Ham's highest earning player is 150 and he's on 240, Maguire, that's the issue here. He has to be compensated. Why would he move to, let's be completely honest, a lesser club? West Ham are a lesser club than Manchester United, right? Clearly. Why would he move to a lesser club to earn 90 grand less a week? Like, would you do that? If you had this dream job, you were working for whatever your dream job is, right? And somebody came along and said, we're going to offer you £90,000 less per week to come and work at a job you don't want to do. Like, why would you do that? At the end of the day, everybody's human. I can sit here on my screen, on my webcam and say, get out of my club and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, he's human. Manchester United offered him that contract and it's our job to resolve it now. And if that means taking a massive loss on him to be able to get this deal over the line, we have to do it. We do. Like that's my argument on it anyway. And I know people in the chat will say, oh, he's worth 40 million at least. And it's like, you just have to think about the wages. But yeah, let me know on that one. It is a step down. Let's be completely honest. Going from Manchester United, the captain of Manchester United, to playing for West Ham is definitely a step down. Let's be completely real. There is no doubt about that. Right, but let's crack on with the rest of the show though. Otherwise, I could talk about Harry Maguire all night. Right, let's talk about Amrabat. Now, this is going to interest you a lot. Take a deep breath on this one. There's a story coming out from Gazzetta in Italy reporting that apparently West Ham have just made a 30 million euros offer for Sofyan Amrabat. So apparently West Ham have just bid for Amrabat, 30 million euros. Okay, everybody's probably sat there thinking, swearing, shouting all sorts of horrible things. Let me finish the rest of it. So West Ham have put this 30 million euros offer in for Sofyan Amrabat, but apparently he doesn't want to join them and he is waiting for Manchester United. I'm sorry, guys. I let you out to dry there. I built it up and you probably all were screaming at your screens. But as I just said, they've made this bid, West Ham. 30 million euros is being reported. But apparently he doesn't want to join them. He's refusing to join them. Sofyan Amrabat is not interested in the move to West Ham. And it goes on to say he is waiting for Manchester United. So he only wants to come to Manchester United. he's not interested in going to West Ham, which I don't blame him. You know, at the end of the day, if you've got Manchester United knocking at the door, the biggest football team in the world, Champions League football under this amazing manager, Eric Ten Hag, and then you've got West Ham, who, let's be real, aren't a very good club, really, playing in Europa League with David Moyes as the manager. I mean, you'd have to be an absolute idiot to go to West Ham. Let's be completely honest, wouldn't you? And we're probably going to pay him more than what West Ham would as well. So even if you look at it from a financial perspective, why would Amrabat go and join West Ham when he could come to us? He can earn more money. He can play for the biggest club in the world, play under a manager who, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 managers in the world at the moment, with a really exciting squad. And the key thing is here, he only wants to play for Manchester United, Amrabat. Okay, so we don't need to be worried about this West Ham bid. The bid, we don't know whether it's been rejected or not, but at the end of the day, if the player doesn't want to go, they can't make the player go. And the key bit from this quote from Gazzetta in Italy is that even though that they've made this 30 million euros bid, West Ham, Amrabat doesn't want to join them. He wants to join Manchester United. So very, very positive. And I guess the good thing about this is it kind of gives us a bit of an incentive on how much he's actually going to cost, because you know what it's like in the media. You constantly see 25, and then you saw Jamie Jackson come out the other day saying that Amrabat's going to cost 50. I mean, some of these journalists just literally come out with rubbish. They really, really do. Did anybody see that? Jamie Jackson said a couple of days ago that apparently Amrabat was going to cost £50 million. I mean, that is the biggest load of rubbish everywhere. Everybody's been reporting it'll be about 20 to 30 million. So anyway, West Ham have offered 30 million euros, which is 25 million pounds. So as long as we match that, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get this deal done. You know, he doesn't want to go to West Ham. He wants to come to Manchester United. And there's been some really, really interesting quotes, actually, that have come out from Amrabat. This is being reported by The Athletic. So Sofian Amrabat has been speaking about his time under Eric Ten Hag. Obviously, they played... Eric Ten Hag was his manager at FC Twente in the Eredivisie. So Sofian Amrabat has said the following on Eric Ten Hag. He says, "He made a plan for me. He asked me about my strong points and what I wanted to improve. From the first day, he was busy with me, not only with me, but with all of the players." He goes on to say this. He says, "After every game, he would take me through a video and explain everything to me. I was 18 or 19 years old, and sometimes I was thinking, oh, not again. But now when I look back, I know it was so important for my career. I learned so much." I mean, that is just amazing, isn't it? So yeah, apparently Amrabat has been speaking about his time playing under Eric Ten Hag back in about 2015 it was, when he was at Utrecht in the Eredivisie. So all of the signs are pretty much... He is absolutely desperate to come to Manchester United, Amrabat. He really, really is. He wants to reunite with Eric Ten Hag. He doesn't want to go to West Ham, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him, as we said before. There's people in the chat asking about Lavia. Now, I just want to clarify something on this. There's been one report linking us to Lavia, okay? One. We're not going to get Romeo Lavia. I don't know where people have seen this story. Let me know in the chat where you've seen this story, because I've been searching literally all day about this Lavia story, because I have seen other people talking about it, and I can find literally nothing about Lavia coming to Manchester United from any credible sources. Not one. Obviously, Liverpool are the ones leading the race for Lavia. I would be very, very surprised if we sign Lavia. I would say there's probably a 5% chance of us signing Lavia, whereas I'd say it's probably 80-90% that we're going to sign Amrabat. Liverpool are the ones, you know, aggressively pressing this deal for Lavia. I know a lot of you in the chat would really, really like to see him, but he's going to cost £50 million. We're not going to get him. Why would we get him when we can get somebody like Amrabat for 25, who's played under Eric Ten Hag before? They know what to expect in each other. Amrabat's desperate to come to Manchester United. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. You go and get Amrabat, 100%. I know Lavia is a good player, but why would you enter a bidding war with Liverpool? That just seems absolutely ridiculous to me personally. So yeah, 100%. 100% it makes sense to go for Amrabat for me personally. But let me know in the comment section, what would you rather do? Would you rather get Amrabat for 25 million, or would you rather get what's he called? Lavia for 50 million? There's absolutely no doubt about it for me. And I can't see anybody actually credible saying that Manchester United are in for Lavia. Not one. The only club that's linked to him is what's he called? Is Liverpool, and they've been rejected twice. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about that one. If anybody lets me know who's kind of where they've seen about this Lavia story. Right. So somebody in the chat saying something about Johnny Evans. So somebody in the chat saying Ten Hag has been impressed by Johnny Evans' leadership and ability to play out from the back, and he is wary of a lack of defensive cover. I said this to you guys multiple times before. I would be more than happy with letting Harry Maguire go and keeping Johnny Evans as the 5th choice centre-back. And people are going to troll me. You're going to say you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. But I honestly would rather keep the money from Maguire and go and invest it in another striker. Keep Johnny Evans for one season as the backup, fifth choice centre-back, remember. Maguire is the 5th choice centre-back. He's behind Luke Shaw, who's a left-back. I'd keep Johnny Evans as the 5th choice centre-back. I'd invest the money we get for Harry Maguire. Go and buy someone like Taremi from Porto. Maybe even see if you can put in a low bid for Gonzalo Ramos, even though that's probably not going to happen. Taremi from Porto is worth 20 million. Go and get him for 20 million with the money you use from Amrabat, and then buy another centre-back next season. Varane's going to be good for one more year. I would probably look at bringing in another world-class centre-back this time next year. I would, because I do worry about Varane. As much as I love him, as much as I think he's a 10 out of 10 player, he can't play every single week. He can't. He can play one game a week. He really, really struggles when he has to play 2 or 3 games a week. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. We've got 850 people watching today, guys, which is absolutely incredible. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already. Please do subscribe to the channel. We're less than 100 subscribers away from 8K now, so let's see if we can hit that by the end of the video. If we hit 8K by the end of the video, I will give 2 memberships to some people in the chat. So go and subscribe if you haven't already. I just dropped a link in the chat, so get involved with the community. We're live every single day at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m, so yeah, do get involved if you are not already. And I will read out some of your chats as well in the second half of the show, so do get your questions in if you haven't already, and I will read out some in the second half of the show. But let's crack on. Let's keep things moving. We have got some news on ingoings. So there's a story coming out this afternoon that apparently Manchester United are looking to put in a bid for Everton centre-back Jarrad Brathwaite. The defender, 21, spent last season on loan at Dutch club PSV Eindhoven. He also spent time on loan at Blackburn Rovers in the past. United could move to strengthen their defensive options if they sell Harry Maguire before the end of the transfer window. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This isn't somebody that I know that much about. If anybody in the chat does know much about this player, please do let me know. So his name is Jarrad Brathwaite. He is, I believe he's English. He plays for Everton, but was on loan at PSV Eindhoven in the Eredivisie last season. So we've had a couple of journalists coming out today saying that apparently Manchester United are seriously considering putting in a bid for Brathwaite. As I said, he's not somebody I've seen very much of. I did watch a couple of kind of compilation bits of him today, and apparently he is a really, really promising young player. I believe he is only 21, I think, so he's still very young. Honestly, if anybody in the chat knows much about him, I would love to get you guys' opinions on this one. As I said, he's 21 years of age. He's English. His parent club is Everton, but apparently Manchester United are now plotting a move for him. I mean, imagine this, right? Imagine that we sell Harry Maguire to Everton and we bring in this Brathwaite guy instead. Like, that would be a really, really good bit of business. We're thinking for the future. How old is Maguire? Is he 30 now? I mean, he's not young, is he? Harry Maguire's 30 and he's got 2 years left on his deal. Honestly, as I've said, if we don't get rid of Maguire now, I honestly think his price is only going to go down. He'll be 31 this time next year, and he'll only have 1 year left on his deal. There is absolutely no way that we'll get a good amount of money for him next year. So yeah, let's have a little look at this Brathwaite guy together. If anybody in the chat's watched much football of him, if we've got any Dutch football fans in here, do let me know what you think about him. So yeah, he's 21 years of age. He's 6'5". Wow. So he's very, very tall, 6'5". As I said, he's been on loan at PSV. He's a left centre-back. He's got, yeah, apparently he's really good with both feet. He looks good, to be fair. I'm just looking on his Scout Report website. Yeah, 21 years of age, 6'5". Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, do let me know in the comments section as well. Would you guys be happy if Johnny Evans stayed for one more season? Let me know what you guys think. As I said to you guys before, I would be more than happy if Harry Maguire leaves and Johnny Evans is the 5th choice centre-back for next season. And then maybe we do go in for somebody like this. Maybe we go in for the centre-back from Benfica. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a really, really young... Is it Antonio Silva from Benfica? Yeah, Antonio Silva. He looks absolutely quality. Plays for Benfica in Serie A. Sorry, not in Serie A, in the Portuguese league. Yeah, he looks quality. There are plenty of centre-back options out there, of course. Obviously, Kim Min-jae's gone to Bayern. It looks like, what's he called? Disasi's going to go to Chelsea. We are still apparently linked to Todibo, though. We did want to talk about him really, really quickly, so let's talk about that. So this is coming in from a couple of journalists today, and they are reporting that apparently Manchester United have now reignited their interest in French centre-back Jean-Claire Todibo. Obviously, he plays his football for Nice in the French league. He looks good. I prefer him to Disasi, and I would quite like to see him at Manchester United, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. The centre-back position is not a priority for me at this point. I'm happy with our defensive options. I'm happy with Lindelof. I'm happy with Varane. I'm happy with Martinez. And I actually do quite like Luke Shaw as the fourth choice centre-back. I do. The only slight issue we potentially have is Malacia going to be fit to start this season? Obviously, Malacia has been injured for the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks. He didn't go on the preseason tour. That's the big question mark. And are we going to see Alvaro Fernandez, the really, really talented left back who's come through the youth academy, get a chance in the team? I am really, really excited if that does happen because he does look quality. Alvaro Fernandez, if you haven't seen him before, guys, he looks absolutely incredible. He's obviously a left back, come through the youth academy. He had a bit of game time, didn't he, in the preseason tour? Spanish left back, 20 years of age. I think he's going to get some game time this season because the Malacia injury has gone very, very quiet. He obviously didn't go on the tour. If anybody knows anything more about this injury, do let me know in the comment section because it's gone very, very quiet around Malacia. I've not heard anything about him. It is a concern because that means we literally just have Luke Shaw. Obviously, we have got this Fernandez guy. And the thing you do have to remember is Diogo Dalot can play at left back as well. So, yeah, maybe there is a world where Diogo Dalot has to play at left back a bit this season because Malacia is injured. And maybe we look to sign someone like Benjamin Pavard because Benjamin Pavard, as I've said before, he can play centre-back and right-back and he gives us lots and lots of options. But for me, the priority position is another striker. 100% we need to sign another striker. Anybody who's joining late, anybody who has been living under a rock, we can confirm that Rasmus Hojlund is at Carrington right now and he is doing his medical. He could be finished any minute now. He's been there since about 4 o'clock. There's footage of him going into the Carrington. So he is doing his medical right now. We are expecting an official announcement with him holding the shirt within the next 24 hours. I reckon it'll be tomorrow. I don't think it'll be today. But yeah, we have got one striker in the door. We do need a second, in my opinion. And the question I did want to ask you guys as well is, this is the question for this part of the show. Do you think that Manchester United will make a bid for Harry Kane? That's the $1 million question. Let me know in the comments section. Do you think that Manchester United will join the race for Harry Kane? Obviously, Bayern Munich are negotiating heavily with Tottenham at the moment over the signing of Harry Kane. Apparently, Bayern are about to submit a bid of £80 million, including add-ons. That'll be their final bid, £80 million. Answer me this question now, guys. Would you join the race if Harry Kane's available for 80 million? Would you put in a bid? You're probably saying, Kieran, how are we going to afford that? But if you reel off the players that we're looking to sell, you know, Brandon Williams, Fred, Eric Bailly, Maguire, McTominay, like we can easily raise the money to put in a bid for Harry Kane. So let's put all of the question marks aside. Just let me know simply in the comment section, would you put in a bid for Harry Kane? As I said, Bayern Munich's third and final bid is £80 million, including add-ons. Do you think that we should join the race? Let me know. For me personally, I honestly believe that if we sign Harry Kane, we'll be title contenders. I do. So based on that, I think we have to join the race. I really, really do. Yeah, I'm not too sure whether Manchester United will or not. And the reason that I bring up this name is because I know loads and loads of you are saying we need a second striker. We should go for someone like Kolo Muani. We should go for somebody like, Mohamed Kudus. We should go for Gonzalo Ramos. But there is a story coming out this afternoon about Kolo Muani. Now, I know a lot of you in the chat were even saying, I want Muani over Rasmus Hojlund, which is completely fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. There is a story coming out this afternoon from Sky Sports that apparently PSG are now in talks to sign Kolo Muani. So it does look like Kolo Muani will go to PSG and will not become a Manchester United player. I'll be honest, I am a little bit disappointed about that because in my dream world, I would have got both Muani and Rasmus Hojlund, or say Muani and Gonzalo Ramos. I think we need 2 strikers this season. I really, really do. We're going to be trying to compete across all competitions. We want to have a good run in the Champions League. We want to be at least in a title race at Christmas. I'll say this now. If we're not in a title race at Christmas, I'll be really, really disappointed. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the title, but too many years over the last 5 to 10 years, right? Every single Christmas comes around, you know, and we're out of the title race and you're just thinking we're just battling for top 4 and it's only Christmas. We need to at least be in the title race at Christmas this year. Do you think that will happen? Let me know in the comment section. Will Manchester United be in the title race at Christmas this year? For me, if we get another signing, if we get Harry Kane, I genuinely think we would be in the title race. I do, because where we are struggling is goals. And Harry Kane guarantees you goals. Whether you think he's too old, whether you think he's injury prone, whether you think his wages are too much, There is nobody in the chat who can sit here today and tell me that Harry Kane won't get you goals. He won't. I think he scored 30 goals in his last 3 or 4 seasons, every single season, just in the Premier League alone. So for me, I genuinely think if Harry Kane comes to the club, we will at least be in contention to win the title. I'm not saying we will do it, but I think we'll at least be in the race to do it. We are now 83 subscribers away from 8k subscribers, guys. That's absolutely amazing. For anybody who is new today, we've only been doing this channel for about 8 weeks, okay? Absolutely incredible. We've been growing so fast, and we've got an amazing community here. So massive shouts to everybody who watches the streams every single day. I really do appreciate you. And if this is the first time you are watching, please do subscribe. As I said, we're less than 100 away from 8,000 subscribers now, which honestly is beyond my wildest dreams. So massive shouts to everybody. And please do make sure to smash a like on the video if you haven't already. Right, and I will read out some of you guys' questions in a little bit. So if you want to ask me a question, put the letter Q in front of your message in the live chat, and I will read out as many as I can. So do get them in now, and make sure to like and subscribe. Let's crack on with the rest of the show, as we have got a couple more bits of news to rattle through before we get into the question part of the show. There was a really interesting quote that came out from Erik ten Hag about the Glazers, which I wanted to bring in. Now, before we read this is exactly why I love Erik ten Hag, okay? So Erik ten Hag has said, Erik ten Hag believes nothing should distract from the football, even to the point where Avram Glazer and his wife were made to wait to have a chat with him. So apparently in one of the pre-season matches the other day, Avram Glazer and his wife were at the game, and they were trying to get his attention. They were trying to talk to him. They were trying to ultimately waste his time. Let's be completely honest with you. And he actually said to them, apparently, like, I'm sorry, I'm focusing on the match. You know, I'll speak to you later. And that was kind of all. And that's exactly what we want. I'm so sick of previous managers, previous players, previous coaches who just like suck up to the Glazers. And the fact that he's just completely put them in their place and said, you know, ultimately, I'm here to be a manager. I'm not here to be your friend, ultimately, you know. So yeah, I really do love Erik ten Hag. I think he's definitely the right man for the job. I wanted to ask you this as well. Do you think Erik ten Hag is the best manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson? Let me know in the comment section. Is Erik ten Hag the best manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson? I'm going to say yes, I am. I think he's done the most in 1 year out of any manager we've had since then. I know Mourinho's won countless Champions Leagues. Mourinho is obviously a legend of the game, but I think the impact that Erik ten Hag has had in the last season, nobody since Sir Alex Ferguson has had that impact at Manchester United for me. No one. Like how he treated Ronaldo, the David De Gea situation, you know, how we lost the first 2 games and still got top. We got third, you know, winning a trophy. I honestly think the impact that he's had in his first season is absolutely incredible. It really is. So yeah, for me, he is the best manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. But I want to get you guys' opinions. Do let me know in the comment section. Is Erik ten Hag the best manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson? Right. And I will read out some of your questions in a minute, guys. So do get your questions in. I don't really want to talk about the takeover, to be completely honest with you. So anything apart from the takeover, I will probably read out. But yeah, for me, I just can't be bothered to talk about the takeover, to be completely honest with you. It is just quite boring. Okay, so we have got some breaking news actually for you. Loads of people in the chat were talking about Johnny Evans, and I asked you guys, would you like him to stay at Manchester United? Now, there's a story coming out in the last couple of minutes saying that apparently Johnny Evans is set to sign a 1-year contract with Manchester United. So it does look like Johnny Evans will stay at Manchester United. Now, just to say, this hasn't been confirmed by the club yet. This is just from a couple of UK journalists, but apparently he will sign a 1-year contract with Manchester United. I'm not going to lie, I'm really happy about that. I am. I'm happy about that. I do. And if that means that Harry Maguire then can leave, I honestly think that's positive. I do. If we can cash in for Maguire, keep Johnny Evans as the 5th choice centre-back. He's won Premier Leagues. He's won Champions Leagues. He is way more experienced than Harry Maguire. Let's be completely real. And I would much rather have him in the dressing room as our 5th choice centre-back than have Harry Maguire, who, let's be completely honest with you, was never good enough to be the Manchester United captain, okay? He's obviously a good footballer. I'm not going to slag him off. He's good enough to play for West Ham. He's good enough to play for Everton. But he's not good enough for Manchester United at the end of the day. He's not what Erik ten Hag needs for his system. He isn't fast enough. He can't sit on the halfway line because every single time the ball gets played behind him, he gets outrun. So I am really happy about this. Do let me know what you think about Johnny Evans. We don't know exactly how much the wages will be. I can't imagine it being very much, to be completely honest with you. Let me just have a look how much he was paid at Leicester. So at Leicester, he was on £100,000 a week. So, I mean, even if he got £100,000 a week, which sounds like quite a lot, that is still less than half of what Harry Maguire's on. Harry Maguire's on 240 to be the fifth choice centre-back, whereas Johnny Evans at Leicester earned 100. So, to be completely honest with you, I would take that. I would. I'm just double checking that actually, because that might have been an old one. Let me just double check that for you. I just want to confirm what he was on at Leicester. Yeah, he was on 100 grand a week at Leicester. Obviously, that is big wages. I do appreciate that. But that's, as I said, that's less than half of what than what Maguire's on. So I'm 100% happy with that. Right, let's read out some questions then. Let's get some questions going. Okay, Paul has asked everybody, how many goals do you think Rasmus Hojlund will get this season? That's a really good question. Thank you for that, Paul. I will echo that back to the rest of the chat. Paul says, how many goals will Rasmus Hojlund get this season? So I'm going to go, he's going to get 15 in the Premier League. I reckon he's going to get 4 in the Champions League. And I'm saying 2 in the FA Cup and 2 in the League Cup. I reckon he's going to get 25 goals in all competitions this year. I think he's going to do really, really well. But let me know in the comments section, how many goals will Rasmus Hojlund get across all competitions this year? Let me know. I've gone with 25. What else have we got? Thank you for your question, by the way, Paul. Where are we? So somebody has said, what's your opinion on playing Bruno as an 8 and Mason Mount as a 10? I think if we're at home against a Bournemouth, or if we're at home against a bottom of the table team, I think that'll work. I think if we're against a lower, lesser team and we're at home, we can play Mason Mount, Bruno and Casemiro. But if we're away against a tough team, we're away against Brighton, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, I think the midfield three has to be Casemiro and Amrabat as the two kind of CDMs. And then Bruno Fernandes as the number 10. That's what I would do. I don't think you can play Mason Mount, Bruno and Casemiro against the Manchester City away. I reckon you'll just get completely overrun. So yeah, I think in short, you can do that. We can have Mason Mount, Bruno and Casemiro, but only at home against lesser teams. I don't think that's a strong enough midfield to go away to the Etihad or go away to Liverpool or Brighton. I honestly think we'll get overrun. But let me know what you guys think about that one. I mean, to be completely honest with you, right? Some people are upset about this Johnny Evans story. I honestly think if they sign Johnny Evans on a 1-year deal, why the hell would they keep Harry Maguire then? The only way that I see that he's going to sign on this deal is if Harry Maguire's leaving. Personally, why would you keep Johnny Evans? That means you've got 6 centre backs. So who's going to be the 5th choice centre back then? Does that mean Johnny Evans is the 5th choice and Harry Maguire's the 6th choice? Like, I honestly think that if Johnny Evans signs this 1-year extension, it's because Harry Maguire is going to leave. That's my take on it, but let me know what you think about that. As I've said to you many, many times before, I would much rather Johnny Evans as the 5th choice centre-back than Harry Maguire. No disrespect to Harry Maguire. He can easily go and play for West Ham and start for West Ham, but he doesn't suit Erik ten Hag's system, so yeah. Somebody saying we haven't signed Amrabat yet. Yeah, I know we haven't signed Amrabat yet, my friend, but that's how important Amrabat is to me. And it's not because I look like him, before somebody in the chat says that. It's because I honestly think that Amrabat is absolutely essential to how we set up away from home next season, because we went away to so many grounds last year. We went away to Brentford and lost 4-0. We lost 4-0 to Brentford away from home. And that was because our midfield overrun and we got absolutely destroyed. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool because our midfield got overrun and then the rest of the team completely capitulated. If you have Amrabat and Casemiro as your 2 midfielders, as your 2 workhorses, I'm telling you, we won't lose 7-0 to Liverpool next season with Amrabat and Casemiro as our midfield too. If we sit here in a couple of months and you're saying, Kieran, you said we wouldn't lose, obviously I'll take the L, but for me personally, I think Amrabat is one of the most important signings for us this summer. I honestly believe that. Amrabat and Onana, for me, are the 2 most important signings for Manchester United. You know, I wasn't that excited about Mason Mount, to be completely honest with you. I am excited about Rasmus Hojlund, but I don't think he's going to make immediate impact. Whereas Onana, Amrabat, they'll make immediate impact. And they'll completely change games. I genuinely believe that. I'm just going to have a sip of water. All right, Callum has asked, how far will we go in the Champions League? That's a really good question. That is something I haven't been asked before. How far will we go in the Champions League? Let me know in the comment section what you think. I would say, I reckon we'll get to the round of 16. I think we'll get through the group stage. I think we'll get through the, I think we'll get to round of 16. I'm not expecting us to win the Champions League. I think it's way too premature. But I will say this now. You never know in European football. You really, really don't. All respect to Inter Milan, but Inter Milan got to the final of the Champions League. Do you think we'd beat Inter Milan? Let me know. I think we probably would. I would. But yeah, you never know in European football. But at this point, I'd say last 16 is probably a realistic target. As long as we don't drop down to the Europa League. I know this sounds a bit sad, but as long as we don't drop to the Europa League, I'm happy. Obviously, I want to win the Champions League. I want to go as far as possible. But the last thing I want is for us to drop down to the Europa League. That would be a massive, massive disappointment. It really, really would. Irvin says, looking at how the squad dropped their heads, do we expect another disgraceful loss like against Liverpool last season? Yeah, I mean, Erik ten Hag has kind of come out and said that, hasn't he, in the last couple of games, that they're not doing what he asked. Their heads are dropping. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if that happens again, then the only people you can blame is the players. You can't blame the manager. You can't. Because they've dropped heads for Mourinho. They've dropped heads for Ragnick when he was here. They've dropped heads for Erik ten Hag. They've dropped heads for loads and loads of different managers. I don't really know how you solve that. The only way, I guess, is getting rid of players, isn't it? I don't know if there's a way to solve people dropping their heads, to be completely honest with you. Thanks to Max Creature, who's just done a super chat. Thank you very much, mate. If you do want to do a super chat, or if you do want to join the members club, you can just hit the $sign. Any support is, of course, massively appreciated on the channel. So yeah, do get involved. Right, we've got 10 minutes left of the show. I've got a couple more bits of news to rattle through. And then I will read out a couple more of your questions. We are only 65 subscribers now away from 8K subscribers, guys. So please do go and subscribe if you haven't already. So there's a story coming out here saying that apparently Manchester United's pre-season fixtures against Lens and Old Trafford, and Atletico Bilbao in Dublin will consist of two strong teams made up of mostly first-team players that will likely be supplemented by the best players from the academy. So, yeah, a lot of people have been asking me that. They've been saying, like, how are we going to play these two matches? For anybody who's unaware, we've got a game this Saturday, and then we've got a game on Sunday as well. And I really don't know how that's going to happen, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, right, let's read out a couple more of your chats then. Somebody in the chat says, would you swap Scamacca from West Ham for Harry Maguire? Yeah, I would. I know he hasn't done very well for West Ham, but if we could swap Harry Maguire for Scamacca, I would 100% do that. Obviously, Juventus are the ones leading the race for his signature, aren't they? But I would 100% swap Harry Maguire for Scamacca. 100%. Obviously, he's a striker. We need a striker. If that was an option, I would do it. 1,000% sure. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether that is actually something realistic. It's probably not. So Ginge says United's best 11 will only have 3 players from Ollie and before, so I don't get how our players have this bad mentality. Yeah, I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I don't know whether it's because they're paid ridiculous wages, because they in their heads, like Harry Maguire, they think they don't need to prove themselves. I don't know. I feel like the mentality around being a Manchester United player has changed. When you think back to the years of Gary Neville, Roy Keane, like all of these legends of the club, right? The mentality was every single time you come on that pitch, you need to die for the badge, right? You need to give 110% every single game. And I do think that kind of mentality has been lost. I feel like a lot of the people now are on ridiculous wages. Some of them are on 300 grand plus a week, right? Some of them don't even run to chase defenders. And the only way I see that is because they're ultimately treated like superstars. They're paid ridiculous wages. They know that even if they put in a bad performance, like it's not like the club can just fire them. You know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know the answer to this. I just think it's maybe something that's happened in modern day football. And at the end of the day, a really good example of this is Pep Guardiola, okay? Something happened with Joao Cancelo. Obviously, he wasn't happy with what Joao Cancelo was doing. He gets rid of him. Like, I think that's what needs to happen at Manchester United. And I do think that Erik ten Hag has kind of shown that so far. He wasn't happy with Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo left. He wasn't happy with David De Gea. He left. Like, the player power needs to go out of the club, because that's what's causing these issues with the mentality. You know, if Marcus Rashford doesn't have a good game, he needs to be on the bench the next game. Like, it needs to be as simple as that. You know, there can't be favoritism. And I do think that Erik ten Hag has been quite good around that. And I know people will say, oh, well, he played Bruno Fernandes every single minute, but we didn't have any options this season. And I do think that, you know, if Jadon Sancho doesn't have a good game, I do think that Erik ten Hag will put him on the bench. If Antony doesn't have a good game, he'll stick him on the bench. I think it's just Erik ten Hag asserting his dominance, but whilst also being respected. It's doing it in a way that isn't like Mourinho, where you fall out with the players. You have to keep the players on side, but you have to know that, you are the boss. And if they don't perform, if they don't give 110%, they will be put on the bench. Right. Somebody says, do you think Vlahovic would be a better signing for us? I don't think so. I'm happy with Rasmus Hojlund. I'm happy with Rasmus Hojlund. I'm not like, oh, I'm not gutted that we didn't get Vlahovic, no. What else we got? We got 5 minutes left. I will read out a couple more of your comments before I wrap up the video. Some people are putting in some absolutely ridiculous comments today, so fair play to you. Where are we? So this is a good take. Somebody says Anthony is already good. Anytime he's not in the team, our right side looks really weak. I agree. I do. I think Anthony is a good player, and I think his kind of the abuse he's get from some fans and rival fans, I think isn't great, to be completely honest with you. People saying we need Greenwood back. Honestly, Greenwood and the takeover are the two topics that we just get asked to talk about so much, and I am bored about talking about it, so I'm not going to talk about it, to be honest, but you are entitled for it. Somebody else is asking about Scamacca in the chat from West Ham. I would go for Scamacca. I would. Why not? You know, if they want Harry Maguire and we want a striker, Scamacca wants to leave the club and he's available, I would go and get him. I would. He's only on 90 grand a week. West Ham are supposedly wanting around 25 million for him. You just knock on the door and say, we'll swap. We'll do a swap. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Obviously, he hasn't been very good for West Ham, to be completely honest with you. But before he did come to West Ham, he did do really, really well, didn't he? So there clearly is a good player there. And we've seen what Erik ten Hag can do with developing players. Obviously, a prime example of that is Sebastian Haller, who was obviously at West Ham. He was really, really poor for West Ham. He goes to Ajax and plays under Erik ten Hag, and he turns into, I think he was the leading goal scorer in the Champions League, wasn't he? So yeah, I would go and get Scamacca if it was a swap deal for him and Maguire. So the year before that, he got 16 goals in 36 matches for in Serie A. So yeah, he is a good player. I do think so. Right. Right, I think this is a good place to wrap up the video, guys. We've gone through all of the bits of news that we wanted to talk about. As always, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolutely incredible show. We had about 900 people watching today, which is, of course, honestly, absolutely blows my mind. So big ups to everybody who is in the community. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. We are live every single day at 6 p.m. UK time and 8 a.m. UK time. So do get involved in the community. If anything breaks during the day, we do go live as well. So make sure you hit the notification bell. Please do smash a like on the video on your way out. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran. I'll be back at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow. I hope you guys have a lovely evening or day wherever you are in the world. I'm feeling positive. Rasmus Hojlund is at Carrington doing his medical and will become a Manchester United player very, very soon. Lots of love, everyone. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.